Okay, we are going to import our CAD file into Revit today. I started with this survey, which is far too big to really bring into Revit. It's going to really make my process pretty difficult. So the first thing you do want to do is go through your CAD file and really simplify it down to what you really need. So that can involve things like deleting or trimming contours. This is our site here, so I'm going to get rid of the topo around there and just keep these contours. And important to note that every contour has an elevation value assigned, so it's going to be useful in Revit later on. But I don't want to keep them all. Right? If I don't want the ones down here, but they run into the site, I can always go here and type TR enter for trim, right? And I can start trimming the lines away. I can also use a command called laydel for layer delete to go in, and I've got things like drain tiles that I don't need for my site modeling. So in addition to clicking things, it will delete the thing I click on, and it will also delete the rest of the things on that same layer. All right, so use laydel, and then hit return when you're done and say yes to commit that change. And once you've done that, you can also use the purge command to get rid of, let's check everything. Well, purge the checked items. That's basically going to purge AutoCAD of things that aren't being used. So you saw I covered up a few layers. If I go through and do laydel for a lot of this stuff and then purge, I'll get rid of a bunch of my layers. And then what I did was I saved this as a much more simplified file. So now in Revit, I'm going to make a new file. There we go. One of the first things I do is I get rid of some of my architecture-centric views, so that I have just a couple levels in my site plan. And you can see here that I'm in the plan created by level 1. What I want is my site plan. That will show me everything, no matter how low it is, and in many cases, it has an upper level cutoff, but we can always change that. We know that we're on our site plan when we see these little items here. The circle is the Revit base point, and the triangle is the survey base point. You can click on the Revit base point, and you can enter different coordinates over here. And this is helpful if you're collaborating and sharing models, and you and your collaborator come up with shared base point coordinates, so that when you update each other's models, they come in and align perfectly with yours. All right, I'm going to insert my CAD file up here. If it's just a one-time thing, I'll import my CAD. If I'm going to be updating my CAD file occasionally or frequently, I'll go to Link CAD. And this will bring me up to browse for that CAD file I was working on. And now if I go into 3D, either by clicking this house here or one of the 3D views here, you can see by holding down Shift and the middle mouse button that there's actually some elevation, right, to these contours. I've got some other stuff that is hidden or frozen that I don't want to deal with right now, but I could go back and get that out of my CAD file too. And this kind of blue box around it is the limits of the CAD file. If I make a change to my CAD file, let's say, for example, that I want these topo lines to extend all the way to the building, right? So I'm making just like some simple change. And I save it. Very important to save it. I can go back into Revit, go into my site plan here, and I can go to Manage Links, and then this little tab that says CAD Formats, and I can either reload it, or if I've want to reload a different file or I've moved my file, I can go to reload from and browse for it. But now it has those updates. I can type WT to show all of my tabs in this kind of side-by-side view, and TW to put them back into tabs. Okay. So what I'm going to focus on right now is using my CAD contours to make a topo surface. A topo surface is the item that's used in Revit to create topography. So I'll go in here and click topo surface, and I can either place points and define their elevation if I kind of want to sketch a topo surface. But if I have an imported set of contours, I can go create from import and select import instance. Now what I need to do is just click on any CAD line work, and up will pop a full layer list. This is asking me which layers Revit wants to use to create a topo surface. And so obviously I don't want everything here, but one or more contour layers. And then I'll click OK, and it will take a moment and it will generate a topo surface. I can continue editing it, or I can finish my surface by hitting that checkbox. Right, and so now you can see here, I have a three-dimensional topo surface object, and it's visible here as well. Okay. So I have an option of going in and editing my topo surface. We'll get to that in a second. But I'm going to stop this first to just complete this first recording.